The Magic Little Pencil. Noah got off his school bus and stepped out on the street in the little town in which he lived. He never imagined that this would be the weirdest day of his life. He was walking on a crosswalk when he saw an old man shivering from the cold and looking very hungry and begging politely for food.
Please, help me. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Can you spare a little something to eat?
Noah felt pity for the old man, so he went to a nearby shop and bought food, as well as a bottle of water for him. He gave the shopkeeper the money which he had been saving up to buy a new pencil box for himself. It wasn't long before he was walking up to the old man.
Here, this is for you.
Oh, thank you, dear boy. I thought I was going to starve to death. That is so kind of you.
After eating the food and drinking some of the water that Noah had kindly brought him, he began to feel better and turned a proud gaze upon Noah.
I've been searching for a kind-hearted person for a very long time. I do believe that my search ends today.
Noah was confused when he heard this, so he asked the old man politely.
What do you mean?
The old man reached into the satchel he was carrying and pulled out an antique box. He looked solemn and reverent as he slowly opened it to reveal its contents. Inside rested a very old pencil, which was shining as a bright little star. Noah was astonished by this sight. Suddenly, the old man abruptly closed the rusty lid, handing it to Noah, and says to him,
Noah, yes, I know your name, for I am a wizard. I have been on a very long quest, seeking out a boy such as yourself, who would be willing to put aside their own desires in order to help others. Now, you can help others with this magic pencil. Just draw whatever you wish, and it will appear in before you instantly.
Oh, wow! Thank you, kind wizard. Now I can help people in need whenever I want. This is great! Thank you so much!
Just remember these 2 things. Don't tell this secret to anyone, or else they may steal it from you. And secondly, if you need my help at any time, you can just draw a picture of me, and I will be there in an instant.
Don't worry, wizard. I will remember your instructions.
Suddenly, in the blink of an eye, the wizard disappeared, and Noah excitedly continued his journey home. Noah couldn't wait to try out his magic pencil. So he draws a cake, and presto! It was instantly in front of him, sitting on a silver platter. The next day, he started to help each and every person he could find that needed something or other. He was walking down the road when he saw an overworked bellhop from a local hotel trying unsuccessfully to carry an overabundance of heavy and awkwardly shaped luggage. So, to help the young man out, Noah draws a baggage cart for him in order to ease his heavy burden. Then he saw a little girl who was barefoot and trying to sell matches, and no one seemed to care. But Noah did, and he proceeded to draw a basket of food along with some cozy slippers for her. After a while, he saw some homeless people shivering on the cold, hard street. So he drew some small but beautiful houses for them to call homes of their very own. That's how Noah chose to help the people around him. One day, when he was helping a poor man, the greedy and selfish mayor saw the kind and helpful boy. The mayor also saw how the little boy Noah was able to make all these things appear out of thin air with a simple yet magical pencil. The next day, the mayor ordered some policemen to arrest the boy for the illegal use of magic towards the unfortunate, because the law that the mayor had made only allowed the use of magic for the wealthy people of the land. The police found Noah using his magic pencil for all to see, magically helping those less fortunate than himself, and arrested him on the spot and dragged him off to present him to the mayor. He said,
Noah, I saw how you helped those sick, hungry, hopeless, homeless, and poor people. Now you must help me. Draw me what I want. A tree that produces fruit of solid gold.
Sir, with all due respect, I only help poor and needy people, and you're neither poor nor needy.
It's not a request, Noah. I am ordering you to do so.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I will not do this.
Then be prepared for a severe punishment, you stupid boy.
The mayor then demanded his servants to snatch the magic pencil from Noah. One policeman successfully did so and gave it to the mayor. Now, the mayor began to draw a tree with golden fruit. It was a nice picture, full of colorful detail, but the magic within the pencil didn't respond to him. He then handed the writing utensil over to the policeman, who also tried, but failed as well, to conjure up anything from his stick drawing of a horse, which he had scribbled on a fresh sheet of paper. The policeman commented to the mayor,
I think the pencil won't take any orders from us, sir. It only recognizes Noah's hand, so only the boy can fulfill your wish, Mayor.
The greedy mayor was furious.
Noah, I'm asking you for the last time. Are you going to draw me golden fruit tree or not? Choose your words wisely. They may be your last.
Noah was a brave boy, but at this point, he only wanted to end this whole fiasco. So, he said he would draw something, and the mayor handed the boy the magic pencil. The next thing Noah draws is the picture of an old man on the piece of paper. And the wizard, who had given the clever and kind boy the magic pencil, came to rescue Noah. As soon as he appeared, the old man turned those policemen into cats, and he said,
Don't you dare try to misuse the magic of this pencil for your own greedy endeavors, Mr. Mayor. Otherwise, you will be the next one who will lick his own tail.
The mayor was greatly frightened and shivered with fear. Then the old man admonished the mayor not to be so greedy and selfish. The mayor also acknowledged his wrongs and apologized to Noah and the wizard. The very next day, the mayor rewarded Noah for his kind deeds and acts of helpfulness for the whole townspeople to see. And Noah continued to help those less fortunate and lived happily ever after. The end. The Magical Frog. An old woman used to live in a village. She had a very beautiful daughter. Her daughter liked cherries so much that she didn't used to eat anything else. Lunch or dinner, she only wanted to eat cherries. In fact, people also started calling her Cherry now. There was a clever woman living in Cherry's neighborhood. Not just clever, she was an expert in black magic too. And in her garden, there were so many cherry trees with a lot of cherries. Cherry used to sneak in the garden because she could not resist and used to take some cherries. Because of this, the witch was very angry. Cherry was very beautiful too. Her hair was very long and silky. Her face was as bright as the sun. Her features were so beautiful that the witch could hardly hold her anger. One day, as usual, Cherry was collecting cherries in the garden. The witch saw her and could not hold her anger and cast a magic spell on her, which turned her into an ugly frog. Poor Cherry. The king of that village had 3 sons. The king was also very old and weak. The king said to his sons,
I will give you all a task, and he who finishes the task shall be the next king. Your first task, I want a velvet cloth that is so soft it will slip right through my ring.
And soon, all 3 of them went out to find such velvet as soon as possible. The elder 2 brothers brought so many velvets from the market, but the youngest one was walking and thinking how a normal velvet from the market can pass through Dad's ring. He walked very far, looked in so many places, but could not find anything. He was so tired, so he decided to rest on the bank of the river. Suddenly, one frog jumped out of the river and asked him, "Tell me what happened. You seemed so tense." She had such a sweet voice. Hearing that, the man said, "How can you help me?" She insisted, "At least tell me why you are worried." The prince told her the story, and after listening to that, she jumped back in the river. She came back with a small piece of cloth and said, "Take this cloth, this will help you." "Something's better than nothing," the prince thought, and left for the palace. As soon as he was getting close to the palace, the cloth was getting heavier. The king was happy that all 3 of them had come with velvet cloth. He gave them the ring. When the elder sons tried, only a part of velvet could pass through it, and they failed. Then the youngest son gave the cloth. Everyone was surprised to see such clean and beautiful velvet. That velvet could pass through the king's ring very easily. "I finished one task." The prince was very relaxed. The king gave them a new task, that he wants a dog as small as he could fit in a walnut shell. Again, all 3 of them started their hunt. This task was much tougher. Where can you find such a dog? The youngest prince started to walk in the nearest jungle. He walked for so long, and once he was tired, he sat near the same riverbank to get some rest. Suddenly, he thought of the frog that had helped him last time. Right then, she jumped out of the river. "Oh, my prince, why are you sad again?" The prince told her the whole story. "Wait, let me try and help you again." And then she jumped in the river again. She came out of the river with a dried fruit in her hand. "Take this and break it. Once you reach the palace, you will see the magic." The prince happily left for the palace. The elder brothers found a lot of puppies, but they were of no use. They tried to finish the task, but some of them had big heads, some of them had big feet, and some of them had long tails. Both of them were sad. Now the youngest one broke the dry fruit, and surprise! There was a sweet little puppy sitting inside the shell. The king tried fitting this puppy in a walnut shell, and he could easily fit inside. The prince was very happy. The king was very happy too. Now it was time for the 3rd and final task. "Whosoever will marry the most beautiful girl will be the next king." Great! This was an easy task. The elder son went out to search for a beautiful bride. They knew so many beautiful girls, but the youngest prince was sad. "Now who will help me? That little frog can't help me. She can't jump in the river and find a beautiful bride." He was lost in his thought, and again he ended up on the riverbank. The frog again greeted him. "Now why are you worried? It seems you're crying a lot. Can you please tell me what happened?" And then the prince told her everything. The frog said, "Don't worry, head towards the palace. As soon as you are close to the palace, look behind you. But don't laugh, please." The prince was not able to trust the frog this time. He started to head towards the palace. As soon as the palace was close to him, he heard some words from behind. He saw behind him and was totally stunned. 6 very big rats were pulling a cart made of pumpkin, and one very big frog was riding the cart. Inside, on a beautiful chair, there was his friend from the river. This was a very weird scene, but the prince didn't laugh at all. What kind of cart is this? What's happening here? I don't understand any of this. And after a short while, he saw a totally different cart. It was being pulled by 2 beautiful black horses. The person riding the cart was dressed like a soldier. Inside was a very beautiful girl sitting. The prince recognized her in the very first sight, that she was the frog from the river. All 3 of them entered the palace. Both of the elder sons had a big fleet of beautiful girls. But as soon as Cherry stepped inside the palace, everyone was mesmerized of her, and she was crowned as the Queen of Beauty, because she was the most beautiful of all. So, my little friends, since the youngest prince finished all the tasks, he was announced as the next king. The end. The Magic Porridge Pot. Once upon a time, there was a sweet little girl named Melody. She lived with her mother in a small cottage. They were very, very poor, but Melody tried to make her mother happy by singing songs to her. Every day, Melody used to go into the woods to find something to eat. She used to bring back whatever she could find, but their bellies were never full. One day, saddened with their poverty, Melody left the house and went into the woods looking for something to eat. No matter how hard she searched, there was nothing to be found. Finally, Melody could bear it no more. She sat on a rock and started to cry. While crying, she sang a sad song in her sweet, melodious voice. Hearing her voice, a forest fairy appeared in front of her and said, "What happened, my child? Why are you crying? And what are you doing alone in the woods? I am here to find something to eat for me and my mother. We are very poor and very hungry," said Melody with grief on her face. "Don't worry," the fairy said, and with her magical wand, she changed a pebble into a big magical pot. Melody was amazed to see the magic. "Take this pot home, and your family shall never be hungry again. I don't want to be rude, but what good is an empty pot if there's no food in it to cook?" Melody said in a disheartening voice, to which the fairy answered, "This is a magical pot. When you want something to eat, say, 'Cook, pot, cook.' And when it's ready, say, 'Stop, pot, stop.'" Melody was delighted with the gift she got from the fairy, and, with due respect, she asked the fairy, "Oh, dear fairy godmother, I don't have enough words to thank you. Please tell me what I can do for you in return." "I don't want anything in return. But if you want, you can sing me a beautiful song every day." Before Melody could ask any more questions, the forest fairy disappeared. When Melody arrived home with nothing but an empty pot, her mother was very unhappy and said, "What use is the pot if you have nothing to cook in it?" Melody lifted the pot to the table and simply said, "Cook, pot, cook." Nothing happened. Melody looked worried, but then the pot started to shake and hissed. The steam rose, and up bubbled the creamiest porridge they had ever seen. Melody's mother understood that the pot was magical. She was so hungry
Yummy.
that she could not resist the creamy porridge, and she
delicious.
licked it with her finger. She was overwhelmed with the taste of the porridge so much that she did not pay attention to Melody's other command. "Stop, pot, stop!" They ate and ate until the pot was empty and their stomachs were full. Melody's mother rubbed her stomach happily. Melody then thought, "Oh, it's time for me to go and sing a song for the forest fairy." So she left the house and went into the woods again. Here at home, her mother was so happy that they would never have to worry about the food again. She collected all the old pots in which she used to cook and threw them away
Bye-bye.
to make space
See
for
you
the new
later.
one. Or not. She polished and patted the new pot. All this hard work made her hungry again. "Cook, pot, cook," she commanded, and presto! From inside the pot, more delicious porridge bubbled up. Not even bothering to get the bowl, she ate directly from the pot. Delicious! But as quickly as she ate, the pot kept filling up until it was set to bubble up right over the edge. Oh dear, how did Melody make the pot stop? Enough, pot, enough! But the pot bubbled on. "It's plenty, pot, it's plenty!" The porridge steamed over the edge onto the table. "Really? That will do!" The porridge pours over the floor. Melody's mother starts to panic. "Cease! Finish! No more!" she commanded. Soon, she realized that she had made a great mistake and ran away. The porridge poured out from the doors and windows onto the streets, bubbling and forming a great wave, and rolled through the village. People gathered up on their rooftops and started to call for help. Melody heard the villagers calling out in distress. She raced down the woods towards the village. She took a wooden plank and a stick and rode towards her house. When she reached just outside her house, she shouted, "Stop, pot, stop!" And that is just what the pot did. As the bubbling subsided, Melody saw that all the villagers were reaching down and lifting a handful of creamy porridge to their mouth. The whole village enjoyed the porridge. They ate and ate and ate the whole winter long, and no one in the village was hungry ever again. The end. The Magical Apple Tree. Once upon a time, in the world of fairies and kings, lived a selfish man named Toon, who had 3 daughters, the eldest of whom was named Mono, because she had but a single eye. The second was called Stereo, because she was common, and the third, Dolby, because she had 3 eyes. But because her second sister was common in her appearance, she was looked down upon by her sisters and despised by her father. They gave her coarse clothing and nothing to eat but their leftovers. Once, it happened that Stereo had to go into the forest to take care of their goat, and she went very hungry because her sisters had given her very little to eat that morning. She sat down upon a hill and cried. Then there came a good witch and said, "Why are you weeping, Stereo?" "Because I have 2 eyes like ordinary people. Therefore my father and sisters don't like me and give me hardly anything to eat. Today they have given me so little that I am still hungry. I will transform your goat into a magical goat. Then, every time you say to your little black goat, 'Little goat, give me some beet. Give me food which I can eat,' and immediately the goat will start to dance, and a table filled with lovely food will stand before you, of which you can eat as much as you please. And when you are satisfied, you must say, 'Little goat, stop now, please. My tummy is full. Close the treat.'" With these words, the witch went away, and Stereo sings, "Little goat, give me some beet. Give me food which I can eat." And immediately the black goat started her dance, and a table with the most delicate and rare foods were appear upon it. Stereo began to eat, and when she had finished, she said, "Little goat, stop now, please. My tummy is full. Close the treat." And everything quickly disappeared. When evening fell, she went home with her goats and found an earthen dish which her sisters had left her, filled with their leftovers. She did not touch it. The first and second time she did this, the sisters thought nothing of it. But when she did the same the third morning, they became curious, and they said, "All is not right with Stereo, for she has left her meals twice, and has touched nothing of what was left for her. She must have found some other way of living." So they determined that Mono should go with the maiden when she drove the goat to the meadow, and pay attention to what passed, and observe whether anyone brought her to eat or to drink. When Stereo was about to set off, Mono told her she was going with her to see whether she took proper care of the goat. Stereo, however, figured out what her sister was up to, and drove the goat where the grass was finest, and then said, "Come sit down, and I will sing to you." So Mono sat down, for she was quite tired with her unusual walk and the heat of the sun. Stereo sang nicely until her sister went to sleep. As soon as she was in a deep sleep, the maiden had her table out, and ate and drank all she needed. And by the time Mono woke again, the table had disappeared, and the maiden said to her, "Come, we will go home now." So they went home, and after Stereo had left her meal untouched, the father inquired of Mono what had seen, and she confesses that she had been asleep. The following morning, the father told Dolby to follow her sister Stereo. So Dolby told her sister that she was going to accompany her that morning, but Stereo saw through her thoughts and drove the goat again to the best feeding place. Then she asked her sister to sit down, and she would sing to her, and Dolby did so. Then Stereo began to sing as before. By and by, Dolby closed 2 of her eyes and went to sleep with them, but the third eye kept open. Dolby, however, cunningly shut it too, and pretended to be asleep, while she was watching, and soon Stereo, thinking all safe, repeated the magic words. Dolby watched all the proceedings, and afterward Stereo came and awoke her, saying, "Let's go home now." When they reached home, her sister told her father she knew now why Stereo would not eat their remaining food. Then the father, with his fury, took a carving knife and killed the goat. As soon as Stereo saw this, she went out very sorrowful to the old spot and wept bitterly. All at once, the good witch stood in front of her again and asked why she was crying. She told her everything. "Stereo, beg your sisters to give you the innards of the goat and bury them in the earth before the house door, and your fortune will be made." So saying, she disappeared, and Stereo went home and said to her sisters, "Dear sisters, do give me some part of the slain goat. I desire nothing else. Let me have the innards." The sisters foolishly gave them to her, and she buried them secretly before the door. The following morning, they found in front of the house a wonderfully beautiful tree with leaves of silver and apples of gold hanging from the branches. As soon as the father saw it, he told Mono to break off some of the apples. Mono went up to the tree and pulled a branch toward her to pluck off the fruit. But the branch flew back again directly out of her hands, and so it did every time she took hold of it, till she was forced to give up. Then the father sent Dolby to do it, but the same thing happened. At last, the father got so impatient that he climbed the tree himself, but he was met with no more success than either of his daughters. Stereo now thought she would try, so Stereo climbed the tree and right away touched the branch, and the golden apples fell into her hands. She filled her apron with them. Her father took them all from her. One morning, the three sisters were all standing together beneath it, when in the distance, a young knight was seen riding toward them. "Go away, Stereo. We don't want to have to be embarrassed by you." And they put over her an empty barrel which stood nearby, and which covered some golden apples as well. Soon, the knight came up to the tree. He stopped to admire the magical tree, and presently asked to whom it belonged, for he should like to have a branch off it. Mono and Dolby replied that the tree belonged to them, and they tried to pluck a branch off for the knight. But the branches and fruit flew back as soon as they touched them.
This is very strange, that this tree should belong to you, and yet you cannot pluck the fruit.
While they spoke, Stereo rolled a golden apple from underneath the barrel, so that it traveled to the feet of the knight. When he saw the apple, he was astonished, and asked where it came from. And Mono and Dolby said they had another sister, but they dared not let her be seen. The knight, however, would see her, and called,
"Hey you, come here."
and soon Stereo made her appearance from under the barrel. The knight was baffled at her great beauty, and said,
"Oh my, you have a beauty which I have never seen before. Will you marry me? I can fulfill any wish you want."
"Yes, I will marry you. And yes, I have one condition. If you take me with you. For here I suffer hunger and thirst, and am in trouble and grief from early morning to late evening. Take me and save me." Upon hearing that, the knight raised Stereo upon his saddle and took her home to his father's castle. And afterward, he married her, and a very happy wedding they had. The tree still belongs to Stereo, and no one else could ever touch it or cut it. The end. The Magic Ring. A wealthy father gave his son 300 gold coins and sent him off to journey the world in search of finding a trade for his unique skills. Robin, for that was the son's name, took the money and said farewell to his father. He had not gotten very far when he came across some herdsmen quarreling over a dog that some of them wished to kill.
"Please do not kill the dog. I will give you 100 gold coins for it,"
pleaded the young fellow. Then and there the bargain was struck, and the foolish young man took the dog and continued on his way. It was not long after that he met up with some folks fighting about a cat. Some of them wanted to kill it, but others did not.
Oh, please do not kill it. I will give you 100 gold coins for it.
Of course, they at once gave him the cat and took the money. He went on till he reached a village where some folk were quarreling over a snake that had just been caught. Some of them wished to kill it, but others did not.
Please do not kill the snake. I will give you 100 gold coins for it.
Of course, the people agreed and were highly delighted. Upon becoming the proud new owner of a snake, a dog, and cat, Robin went home.
You fool! You scamp!
Exclaimed his father when he had heard how his son had wasted all the money that had been given to him.
Go and live in the stables and repent of your folly. You shall never again enter my house.
So the young man went and lived in the stables. His companions were the dog, the cat, and the snake. These creatures grew very fond of him. One day, the snake, in course of conversation, said to its master,
I am the son of King Basilisk. One day, when I had come out of the ground to drink the air, some people seized me and would have killed me had you not most opportunely arrived at my rescue. How glad my father would be to see his son be rescued.
Where does he live? I should like to see him, if possible.
Well said. Do you see Mount Olympus? At the bottom of that mountain there is a sacred spring well. If you come with me and dive into that spring, we shall both reach my father's country. Oh, he will wish to reward you too. However, if he asks what you would like, you would reply, the ring on your right hand and the famous pot and spoon which you possess. With these in your possession, you would never need anything, for the ring is magical. You would have to speak to it, and immediately a beautifully furnished mansion will be provided for you. And the pot and the spoon will supply you with all manner of the rarest and most delicious foods.
Attended by his 3 critter companions, the man walked to the well and prepared to jump in, according to the snake's directions. He ordered his dog and cat to stay behind and protect the entrance. The young man and the snake reached their destination in safety, and information of their arrival was sent to the King Basilisk. Then the king went and embraced his son, and saluting the stranger, welcomed him to his dominions.
Welcome to the land of serpents, young man. You saved my son's life, and I am so much thankful for that. Now your wish is my command. Please ask anything, and I will provide that to you in an instant. Thank you, King Basilisk, but I do not want anything in exchange. It is a wise man's duty to save the poor soul if he saw one in trouble. You are not only kind, but gentlemanly also. It is my request. You should stay here for several days.
The young man stayed there for a few days, during which he received the king's right-hand ring and the pot and spoon, in recognition of his highness's gratitude to him for having delivered his son. He then returned. On reaching the top of the spring, he found his friends, the dog and the cat, waiting for him. Afterward, they walked together to the riverside, where it was decided to try the powers of the charmed ring and pot and spoon. The merchant's son spoke to the ring, and immediately a beautiful house and a lovely princess with golden hair appeared. He soon got married to the princess. They all together established their own kingdom, where people were never hungry because of the magical pot and spoon. Time and again he used his magical ring and helped others in his kingdom, and they lived very happily ever after. With only 300 gold coins, which he spends to save his friend's life, he gets tons of happiness and wealth in return. So kids, the moral of this story is good deeds always pay handsomely. The end. The Magic Bell. Once upon a time, in a small village, lived a poor boy named Pooh. He lived with his mother and younger brother. Pooh lived in a small hut which stood right in the center of the village. To earn a livelihood for his family, he used to graze cattle with some of his friends near the mountains, and in the evening returned them to their respective owners. Every day, while the cattle went for grazing, he loved to sit under a tree and play melodious tunes on his wooden flute.
Hey, Pooh, why do you always play your flute at this very spot?
I don't know. I love this tree, and you may think I'm crazy, but I feel like this tree is alive and listens to my music.
Oh, you're right.
What? You think so too?
No, I meant you're right that I think you're crazy.
But Pooh was right. The tree did listen to his music. The music had touched the tree's spirit. It would listen to the tune intently and be happy to have Pooh play it every day. One day, as Pooh was slumbering on one of the branches of the tree, there was a terrible noise beneath him.
What's that? Oh, earthquake! Earthquake!
There was a woodcutter cutting the same tree where Pooh was sleeping.
Who is this man?
Phew, this'll take some time.
Pooh soon understood what was going on and quickly climbs downward.
Hey, what are you doing? Why are you cutting this tree?
My master would like to use it for his boat. This tree is very strong.
No, you can't cut it.
Really? And why is that? Listen, I've spent many days trying to find strong support for the boat, and you don't own this tree, so don't waste my time.
Pooh will soon have to do something to save the tree, or it will be too late. So he used his cleverness to try and scare the woodcutter away. He said,
Well, you can't say I didn't warn you. It's bound to happen, I suppose.
What's that supposed to mean?
Don't you know? The spirit of an old witch lives in this tree. She's been staying here for years. If you cut this tree down, she'll latch herself onto you, of course.
Latch on to me?
Why? Isn't it obvious? Since you're the one cutting down this tree?
Are you trying to fool me? I'm smarter than you think, boy. I'm not going to fall for this story. Go away now.
Pooh was desperate to save this tree. As soon as the woodcutter got busy, Pooh climbed up and went straight to the top. He hid in the dense leaves and began to scream.
Ah! Ha ha! How dare you touch my home!
What? Who is that?
If you destroy my home, I will come to live with you, and I will never leave you, human.
The boy was right.
Don't worry, human. We will be good friends.
The woodcutter began to run as fast as he could.
What's the hurry, my friend?
Just as Pooh was laughing at the woodcutter, the tree came to life.
Pooh.
Pooh was shocked to hear someone talking to him.
Are you really the spirit of an old witch?
No, Pooh. I am not an old witch spirit. I mean, I am old, but I am the spirit of this tree. Your music brought me to life. You're a cunning boy, Pooh, and I am grateful to you. You saved me from the woodcutter.
Suddenly, a nice golden bell appeared in front of Pooh, which was floating in mid-air.
Here, accept this as a thank you gift.
A bell?
Not just an ordinary bell, my dear. This is a magical bell. Every time you ring it, the plate will magically fill with delicious food to eat.
Oh, wow! This'll really help me and my family!
Yes, it will, but remember, Pooh, you can only ring this bell once. in a day.
I will remember that. Thank you, dear tree.
Pooh ran to call his mother and brother in the village.
Mom! Ronnie! Come here and look what I've got!
He shared the incident with them. They were very happy to see the magic bell. They wished for their favorite foods, rang the bell, and ate to their heart's content. Afterwards, they went to bed with their tummies full after a long and delicious meal. The next morning, as usual, Pooh took the cattle out to graze on the pasture, leaving the bell at home. When he came back in the evening, tired and hungry, he found all the pots empty. There was no food left for him to eat. Pooh was saddened and just ate the leftovers that he found in a cupboard. Still being hungry after his meager meal, he went to bed. He couldn't sleep due to his tummy growling of hunger. So, he decided to take the magic bell with him the next day. When his mother and younger brother were hungry later that day, they looked for the bell. They searched the entire hut from top to bottom, but couldn't find the magic bell, which made them very sad. They thought that they had lost the bell. They had neither the bell nor food. They went to bed on empty stomachs. When Pooh returned home in the evening, he took out the magic bell from his satchel. He ordered his most favorite food. His mother and younger brother were very sad to see this. His younger brother started crying, and he said,
Brother, we're so hungry, and we kept looking for the bell. You have become so selfish. How could you?
Hearing this, Pooh realized his mistake. He regretted his decision, but he also shared with his honest thoughts.
You asked the bell to give you food, but you forgot to save some for me. I was tired and went to bed hungry, and it hurt my feelings. So I was sad and angry.
His brother and mother also realized their mistakes. They ate their meal together as a family that night, and from that day onwards, they never slept with empty stomachs and lived happily ever after. The end. The Magic Stag. There were once a brother and sister who loved each other dearly. Their parents were dead. When they were very young, their mother had died and their father was ill. Before their father died, he married again. But their stepmother was most unkind and cruel to them. One day, the boy said to the sister,
Dear little sister, our stepmother gives us dry, hard bread crusts for dinner and supper and threatens to kick us out of the house. Let's run away and see what the world is like.
So they went out and wandered here and there till evening. At the end of the day, they were in a large forest. It began to rain. They were tired and hungry and sad. They crept into a hollow tree and slept till morning. When they awoke, they left their place of shelter and wandered away in search of water.
Oh, I'm so thirsty.
If we could only find a brook or a stream.
Listen, I think I hear a running stream.
So he took his sister by the hand, and they ran together to find it. Now the stepmother of these children was a wicked witch. She had followed them into the night and bewitched all the springs and streams in the forest. Brother and sister reached the brook, and the sister heard the babbling of the brook.
Whoever drinks of me, a tiger soon will be.
Whoa! Brother, wait! Do not drink, or you will become a wild beast and tear me to pieces!
Thirsty as he was, the brother conquered his desire to drink at her words, and said,
Dear sister, I will wait till we come to a spring.
So they wandered farther. But as they approached, she again heard the bubbling of a spring.
Who drinks of me, a wolf will be.
Brother, I pray you do not drink of this spring. You will be changed into a wolf and devour me.
Again, the brother denied himself and promised to wait. But he said,
At the next stream, I must drink. My thirst is so great.
Not far off ran a pretty streamlet. But here also, in the murmuring waters, the sister heard the words.
Who dares to drink of me, turn to a stag will be.
Dear brother, do not drink.
She began. But she was too late, for her brother had already knelt to drink, and he became a fawn. But he did not run away, and stayed close to her. So she said,
Stand still, dear fawn. Don't fear. I must take care of you. I will never leave you.
So she untied her golden garter and fastened it around the neck of the fawn. Then she gathered some soft green rushes and braided them into a soft string, which she fastened to the fawn's golden collar, and then led him away into the depths of the forest. After wandering about for some time, she at last found a little abandoned hut, and she thought it would form a nice shelter for them both. So she led the fawn in and closed the door. Every morning, she went out to gather berries for her own and fresh grass for the fawn, which he ate out of her hand, and then he went out with her and played. After they had been alone in the forest for years, the little sister had grown into a lovely maiden, and the fawn a large stag. Once a prince came to the forest with his hunting party. The sounding horn, the barking of the dogs, the yelling of the huntsmen resounded through the forest and was heard by the stag. He begged his sister to let him go to see. She opened the door and said,
I will let you go, but do not forget to say, Dear sister, let me in, when you return this evening.
The chief hunter very soon spied the beautiful stag with the golden collar, pointed it out to the prince, and they determined to hunt it. They chased him with all their skill, but he was too light and nimble for them to catch. And, after the huntsmen were gone, he walked home. But one of the prince's huntsmen, however, determined to follow him at a distance to find out where he went. The huntsman was very surprised to see the stag go up to a door and knock and hear him speak.
Dear sister, let me in.
The door was only opened a little way and quickly shut. But the huntsman had seen enough to amaze him. And when he returned to tell the prince what he had seen, the prince was amazed too.
We will have to discover this mystery.
The next morning, the huntsman led the prince to the cottage. When the prince saw it, he went on alone. The door was ajar. The king stepped in, and in great astonishment saw a maiden more beautiful than he had ever seen standing before him. She looked frightened. After a little talk, he held her hand and said,
Will you go with me to my castle and be my dear wife?
Yes, I would go willingly, but I cannot leave my dear stag. He must go with me.
He shall remain with you as long as you live.
While they were talking, the stag rose up, looking happy. Soon after, their marriage was celebrated with great splendor. The wicked stepmother who had caused these two young people such misery heard of their happiness. Envy and malice arose in her heart, and she has sworn to destroy them. She disguised herself as a nurse and came to the castle when the queen had a baby, and the prince hired her to take care of the queen and newborn. She locked the queen up in the bathroom and picked a baby from his cradle to throw him out of queen's balcony. But then the stag came to rescue, and he saved his nephew. The king came into the queen chambers, and he saw that the stag was protecting the baby from the nurse. And the queen recognized her as the witch stepmother. She told the king how cruelly she had been treated by her stepmother, and so the king sent her to the prison. The stepmother realized her mistake, and so she broke the spell, which held the queen's brother in the form of a stag. He appeared before them, a tall, handsome young man. After this, everyone lived happily and peacefully for the rest of their lives. The end. The Magical Golden Crab. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman and his wife named Jack and Ilsebill, who lived together in a filthy shack near the sea. Every day, the fisherman went out fishing. Once, he was sitting there fishing and looking into the clear water. His hook went to the bottom, deep down, and when he pulled it out, he had caught a large golden crab. The crab said to him,
Listen, fisherman, I beg you to let me live. I'm not an ordinary golden crab. I'm special. I am enchanted. Put me back into the water and let me swim.
Well, you do look golden, but how do I know you're an enchanted crab?
Dude, either I'm an enchanted talking crab, or you're losing your mind and talking to the wildlife.
Well, that's a fair point. Maybe I am going crazy. But I guess if I am, there's no harm in letting you go, talking crab.
With that, he put it back into the clear water, and the golden crab disappeared to the bottom. Then the fisherman got up and went home to his wife in the filthy shack.
Jack, did you catch anything today?
No. I caught a golden crab, but he told me that he was an enchanted creature, so I let him swim away.
Didn't you ask for anything first?
No. What am I going to get from a talking crab?
Well, how about a house? This awful shack is filthy and it stinks, and I can see cracks in the roof. Go back and tell him that we want to have a little cottage.
Wait, so a talking crab is like a genie in the lamp? I could just make wishes? I never knew that.
Actually, I have no idea, but anytime you catch something golden and it talks, find out if it's one of those fairy tale things and ask it for something.
The man did not want to go back outside, but he didn't want to argue either, so he went back to the sea. He yelled out to the waves.
Crab, oh crab, in the sea, come, I pray, here to me. For my wife, good Ilsebill, I bring the wish which you fulfill.
The golden crab swam up and said,
Dude, what are you talking about?
My wife says she doesn't want to live in a filthy shack any longer. She would like to have a cottage.
And you think asking a talking crab is going to improve your housing situation?
Yeah, like, I don't know, a wish?
Okay, fine. Your wish is granted. Go home.
The man went home, and his wife was standing in the door of a little cottage, and she said to him,
Come in, see? Now isn't this much better?
Yes, this is lovely. We can live here contentedly.
Well, probably. We'll see.
Everything went well for a week or two, and then the woman said,
Listen, husband, this cottage is too small. The golden crab could have given us a larger house. I would like to live in a large stone palace. Go back to the golden crab and tell him to give us a palace.
The man didn't feel right about asking the crab for something else, but he went anyway. He stood near the water and said,
Crab, oh crab in the sea, come, I pray, here to me.
For my wife named Ilsabil, I bring the wish which you fulfill. Hello again, fisherman. What does she want now? Oh, my wife wants to live in a stone palace,
said the man sadly.
Go home. She'll be standing on the stone porch.
Then the man went his way. When he arrived, standing there was a large stone palace. His wife was standing on the stairway about to enter. Taking him by the hand, she said,
Come inside! Now, isn't this nice?
Yes, this is quite enough. We can live in this beautiful palace and be satisfied.
We'll see. Let's sleep on it.
The next morning, the woman woke up and poked him in the side with her elbow and said,
Husband, I cannot stand it any longer. Go to the golden crab and tell him I must become emperor.
Oh, honey, I can't tell the golden crab to do that. There's only one emperor in the realm.
What? If he can give me a palace, then he can make me emperor. Go there immediately.
So he had to go. As he went on his way, the frightened man thought to himself,
This is not going to end well. The golden crab is going to get tired of this.
But he went anyway and said again at the sea,
Crab, oh crab in the sea, come, I pray, here to me. For my wife, greedy Ilsabil, I bring the wish which you fulfill. What does she want now? Oh, golden crab, my wife wants to become emperor. Go home. She's already emperor.
Then the man went home, and when he arrived there, the entire palace was made of polished marble. He went inside, where his wife was sitting on a throne made of gold, and she was wearing a golden crown. When they went to bed, she was still not satisfied. Her greed would not let her sleep. She kept thinking what she wanted to become next. Then the sun was about to rise, and when she watched, she poked her husband with her elbow.
Husband, I want to be in charge of the sun and moon, too.
She looked at him so sternly that he shuddered.
Go to Crab immediately. I want to become God.
The fisherman fell on his knees before her.
Ilsabil, this has gone too far. I beg you, be satisfied and content where you are.
Anger came over her. She kicked him with her foot and shouted,
I cannot stand it any longer. Go there immediately.
He ran away from his angry wife. Outside, such a storm was raging that he could hardly stand on his feet. The sky was as black as pitch. There was thunder and lightning. He cried again.
Crab, oh crab in the sea, come, I pray, here to me. For my wife, greedy Ilsabil, I bring the wish which you fulfill. What does she want then? Oh, she wants to become God. Go home. She is now God.
Then the man went home. Arriving there, everything was gone like there was nothing in there ever before. And he can't see his wife anywhere. He hurried back to the crab and asked,
Where's my wife? God is present here and everywhere. Nothing exists separate from the one God, because God is present everywhere. You can't see your wife, because now she is everywhere.
The fisherman wept bitterly, and he asked for mercy. The fisherman had spared his life only once, but the golden crab felt bad for him, and he said,
Now, I can fulfill your wish just once more, but ask wisely. Please. I want to see my wife happily standing at the door of our old shack. Go home. Your wish is granted.
By saying this, the golden crab disappeared, and the fisherman went back to his home. And then he sees his wife standing in the door of his old shack with a pretty smile on her face. After this, she remained content and loved living together with her husband, and they lived happily ever after. The end. The Magical Bottle. Abu was a fisherman. He lived near the beach and had been fishing for as long as he could remember. When he was young, he would stay at sea all night. In the morning, he would return with a big catch of fresh fish, which he would sell at the local market. And now, Abu was almost 80 years old, and too old to go out to sea in his boat. So instead, he would throw his net out from the shore 4 times a day. He would eat some of the fish, and the rest he would sell for a little money. One day, he went out to the sea in the morning. He threw his net over the water. After some time, he could feel something heavy trapped in the net. He pulled and pulled and pulled, and it took all his strength to get his net up onto the shore, and found a dead donkey tangled in the net.
Oh no!
He cried.
All this effort for a dead donkey? What will I do? What can I eat?
So he thought about old King Solomon, an ancient king who was known for his wisdom. And then the old man once more cast his net into the water, and soon he could tell he had caught something. This time the net was even heavier. With all his strength again, Abu slowly pulled up the net to shore, and inside was a barrel full of sand.
Oh no!
He cried again.
All of this effort for a barrel full of sand. What will I do? What can I eat?
Again, he thought about King Solomon's great wisdom and decided to persevere. Abu cast his net into the water a 3rd time. This time, something even heavier got trapped in the net. It made a clanging sound like pots and pans banging against each other. And guess what it was? A whole bunch of old pots and pans. They were all rusted and of no use. So Abu looked to the sky and cried out,
Ah, why do I deserve this? I have only the strength to cast my net 4 times in each day, and I've already done it 3 times. If I cannot catch any fish the 4th time, I'll surely die of hunger today. Why must I capture all of this junk?
With his prayer on his lips, Abu threw the net one last time. This time, something even heavier got trapped in the net. Abu had to wade deep into the water to pull the net out. He saw it was a brass bottle. This time, Abu was happy. Even though he had not caught any fish, the brass bottle looked solid. Perhaps he could sell it for more gold coins and have enough food for the next month. But he saw that the bottle had lead seal on it. And looking closely, Abu realized that the seal was none other than King Solomon's. He was now very curious to know what was inside the bottle. He opened the seal with a knife. As soon as he opened it, a huge magical creature came out from the bottle. It shot out 100 feet into the sky with a huge roar. Abu was so scared he cried out in fear. The creature noticed Abu and shrunk down to just 10 feet so he could talk with Abu.
Fisherman, did you free me?
It thundered.
Me? Yes, magical creature. My name is Abu.
Abu, a fine name,
said the creature with a smile.
I have been trapped in that bottle for a long time. Thank you, fisherman Abu. Now tell me, how would you like to die?
Die? But, sir, I freed you. Why would you want to kill me?
I was trapped in that bottle by King Solomon, Fisherman Abu.
But Solomon ruled this land almost 2,000 years ago.
Yes, 1,800 years ago, to be precise. I rebelled against him. So Solomon defeated me and trapped me in this bottle. Then he had the bottle thrown into the sea. I have regretted my mistake ever since.
But that means I have freed you from prison. Why do you want to kill me?
For 1,000 years, I wished someone would free me. I pledged that I would give that person enough wealth to last his lifetime, but no one came. Then in anger, I pledged that I would kill the man that would free me. But I would allow that man to choose the way he would die. So, how would you like to die, Fisherman Abu?
Abu thought again of King Solomon's wisdom, and then a clever idea came to him.
Sir, you claim that Solomon trapped you in that bottle? But I don't believe you.
What?
Cried the creature, and his voice boomed like 100 thunders.
You are so tall. Your hands are like the trunk of the tree. There's no way you could have fit inside that tiny bottle. I don't care if I die, but I don't want to be killed by a liar.
You puny fisherman. I may be evil and mean and make stupid promises, but I never lied a lie in my life.
Then prove it,
said Abu. The creature swished its hands. It turned into smoke and slowly, bit by bit, entered the bottle. And from inside it shouted,
See? I can fit into this bottle.
Abu quickly picked up the lead seal and trapped the creature inside the bottle again. The creature tried his best to come out, but he could not break the seal. Then the creature roared in thunder, but then calmed himself down and said sneakily,
You tricked me! I give up. You're too clever for me, Abu. Now, I wish to get out of this jar, and I pledge I will give the man who freed me his youth back. Good deal, right? Come on, free me, Abu. Your prize is waiting for you.
Abu listened calmly, and with a cunning smile he said,
You think I am a fool? I have lived my life to the fullest, and I don't need anything more than that. I may be old, but not foolish enough to free you again. Now, bye-bye.
No, wait. Let me make another deal for you.
Abu threw the bottle back into the sea and was grateful that his life was saved. The end. Princess Rose and the Golden Bird. Many, many years ago, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a beautiful princess. She had long red hair and loved roses so much that everyone called her Princess Rose. Every evening after dusk, Princess Rose would go out on the balcony and clap her hands. A golden bird would come flying out of nowhere and land on her shoulder. And magically, the princess's hair would begin to shine, blazing brightly with a brilliant red light. When the bird would begin to sing an enchanting tune, Princess Rose would join it in song. And everyone in the kingdom would fall asleep with sweet dreams till the break of dawn. This continued every night for several years. As the sun would set, Princess Rose and the little golden bird would sing their lovely lullaby, so that all people fell asleep and had sweet dreams till the break of dawn. Until one day something terrible happened. A wicked old witch learned about Princess Rose and decided to curse her.
A bud in the basket from bright to thin, made the roses color dim.
And Princess Rose's hair instantly turned as black as tar. Princess Rose didn't know why her hair turned black. But just as always, she went out on her balcony and clapped her hands. But this time, when the golden bird landed, Rose's hair glowed black instead of red. The bird sang its enchanting melody, and Princess Rose sang her lullaby. But as the kingdom all fell asleep, they only had bad dreams and nightmares. And the next day, the saddened princess asked the bird, "Tell me, golden bird, how can I make my people's dreams so sweet again till the break of dawn?" "Black hair in rose water," the bird chirped in reply. The princess thought this was strange advice, but she followed it anyway, because, after all, it was a magical talking bird. She filled up a basin with water and sprinkled rose petals on its surface. Then she dipped her hair into the rose water, and it instantly turned red again. That evening, when the bird perched on her shoulder, the radiant red glow of her hair lit up the night sky once more. The princess sang her lullaby, and everyone in the kingdom fell asleep and had sweet dreams till the break of dawn. The wicked witch was very angry that her curse had been broken, so she decided to cast her evil spell again.
"A bud in a basket from bright to thin, may the roses color dim."
And the princess's hair turned as black as tar again. Only this time, the witch flew swiftly on her flying broom and stole all the rose blooms in the entire kingdom.
"Let's see if you can break my curse now,"
she sneered, filled with rage. Once again, the saddened princess asked the bird, "Tell me, golden bird, how can I make my people's dreams go sweet again till the break of dawn?"
"Black hair in rose water,"
the bird chirped in reply. "But where should I find a rose?"
"Black hair in rose water,"
the bird chirped and flew away. The princess didn't know what to do. She was so worried that her eyes filled with tears, and one of her tears fell to the ground below her balcony. At that very moment, a young and handsome prince happened to be beneath the balcony. He took out a little box and removed a single red hair from within it. He bent down and placed the hair atop the princess's tear. And then a miracle happened. Suddenly, the red hair turned into a red rose. The prince picked the rose and took it up to the princess. Upon seeing the rose, she immediately brushed off her tears and plucked its petals to add to the water in the basin. Then she dipped in her hair, and the curse was broken. Everyone gasped in astonishment, and the king asked the prince,
Young man, where did you find that red hair? When the princess and I were both children, I picked a single strand of hair from her head as a sign of my loyalty to her, and she did the same to me, pulling out a strand of my own hair.
"It's true, father," the princess confirmed and took out a little box. She opened it to reveal a single hair from the prince's head inside. Everyone was delighted with this news. The prince and Princess Rose knew they should someday get married. And so, with all the hairs the right color, he asked her to marry him that very day. The witch learned that her curse had again been broken, and she learned that her wicked intent had led to such a good and wonderful thing. Her evil heart swelled with anger so much that she exploded into 1,000 tiny pieces. And the rose that sprang up from the princess's tear grew and grew until the kingdom was full of rose blooms once again. And that is why roses are so red, just like Princess Rose's red hair. And each night, the prince and his princess would meet on the balcony, meet the golden bird, and sing a lullaby, so that all people fell asleep and had sweet dreams till the break of dawn. The end.